Okay, here's my super great YouTube video to get us caught up for the week after spring break. So, we're going to talk about what social institutions are in this video. And I know we've been talking about social institutions for a while, right? We've talked about it in relationship to structural functionalism, right? The idea that social institutions work together to maintain social structure and stability. We talked about social institutions as agents of socialization, right? Education, media. But now we're going to specifically talk about social institutions and what are they and why do they matter. So that's our goal, right? This is a little two-part series, two videos to introduce us to social institutions, and we're going to talk about the characteristics of social institutions. You want to watch both these videos because they're going to help you do check-in number 6, that little 5-question quiz that's due the week after spring break on these videos. All right. So where have we been? We've been talking about culture. We've been talking about socialization. We've been busy. Right. Where are we going? We're talking about social institutions. And here's an official definition, right? The organized, usual, or standard ways by which society meets its basic needs. So, right? Family, education, government, all sorts of institutions, religion. But I wanted to unpack this definition. What does it mean? And specifically, what do we mean by society's basic needs? What does a society, remember, a large group of people, need to do in order to stick around for a long period of time, right? It's kind of a long list, and we're going to go through these really quickly, but I wanted to emphasize that there's many societies that don't exist anymore because they couldn't do one or more of these for whatever reason, right? And there's societies today that are seriously struggling to maintain social order, social stability because of the inability to do one of these 8 things. So what does a society need to stick around for a long period of time? Well, number 1 sounds pretty no duh, but you need to have a continual supply of new members, right? People have a bad habit of dying, and if you don't have enough people coming in to replace that, you're going to run into some serious problems. For example, Italy, its death rate right now is exceeding its birth rate. That's not good, right? So you need to have a continual supply of new members, but you can't just make babies or invite people over the border for your society to stick around. You need to do number 2 as well, right? Socialize them. Some degree of socialization into your society's culture, right? Your norms, your values, beliefs. Now, of course, there's lots of tension over to what degree, right? Should everybody be the same? We have this going on in the United States, France, Germany, right? In terms of our immigration debate. Number 3, what do you need your society to do to exist over a long period of time? Deal with the fact that people get sick, right? We can think of many Native American and indigenous communities that don't exist anymore because of the introduction of Western diseases that they didn't have a way to combat. Your society needs to create knowledge. If you become too reliant on another society for knowledge and information, you become vulnerable. Number 5, with the exception of anarchists, most would agree that we need some degree of control over your members, right? Imagine, Reading just for 24 hours of people being able to do whatever, however, or whenever, kind of horrifying, right? So some degree of control. Number 6, defend against enemies, right? And this is interesting and timely, right? As the Trump administration is growing the budget for national defense. Some argue that that's absolutely appropriate. Others argue no, that shouldn't be our primary goal as a country. Regardless of what side you're on, most would agree we need some degree of self-defense. Number 7, your society needs to produce and exchange goods and services to stick around. Again, you run into the problem if you become too reliant on other societies for your stuff and for your services, you become vulnerable. And this is, we're all very well aware of this. I'm thinking about where most of our products are made, or they are no longer made in the United States, and there's some growing concern over that. And then finally, number 8, this is kind of the weird hippie one here, but this idea that for your society to stick around, you need to have some way of promoting social unity and some way of getting people to connect to each other as a larger group. For example, I'm sure many of you grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school, and I know I, as a kindergarten teacher or student, had no idea what all those words meant, but I remember feeling pretty darn proud of myself that I could, I had remembered all those words. And the idea is most kindergartners don't know what all the words in the Pledge of Allegiance say, but the idea is that socialization is to get young people connected to this larger idea of the United States. Okay, so here's our society's basic needs, but remember our definition of social institution, the organized, usual, or standard ways by which society meets its basic needs. So here's our needs. Here's different institutions that we've come up with to deal with these needs, right? So to have a continual supply of new member, the institution of family, marriage, right? To make babies, government, right? Government gets to dictate in terms of immigration, who gets to come in, who doesn't. Socializing new members, there's lots of them. Here's just two, right? Education, family, media, religion. Institutions to deal with the fact that people get sick. Of course, medicine, but obviously education, government plays a big role, right, in determining laws. Where do we get our information, right? Education, media, but again, there's not many others there. Religion, family. What institutions do we have to control members? Government, media, religion, family. Defend against enemies, government, family. Where do we get goods and services? Government, right? The workforce. And then, spelling error. What institutions that we have promote social unity in the search for higher meaning, right? Again, education, media, religion. So lots of them, but this just gives you a sense of what we're talking about. One more point about the relationship between societies and social institutions. Again, they're just in things that we've come up with, right? Structures to meet society's basic needs. And without social institutions, societies can and do suffer, right? We're talking about this sort of theoretically, but there's real consequences when our social institutions fail. And I was thinking about the most recent example, the loss of the institution pretty much as a whole in Syria. If you look over here, this is just the city of Aleppo, and the intentional bombing of hospitals and medical facilities just in Aleppo. So right there, institutions literally being wiped out. And I have just a short video of here that gives you a sense of the consequences of, in this case, losing the institution of medicine. And I want to warn you, it's not an easy video to watch.
It was a normal life. I have everything there. I had my own house, I had a car, I had money, I had everything in Aleppo, but I didn't feel my freedom. But after the war, I lost everything, but I had my freedom. I'm Dr. Farida. I'm from Aleppo. I was working in M2 hospital. I was the OBGYN there. It was my dream to be a doctor. In Aleppo and in Idlib also, it's very necessary to be an OBGYN because there is no many OBGYN in Syria and in Aleppo. They can go everywhere and they can find work everywhere at any country. But Syria
Hi, this is our dinner from Prestige Aleppo. We have some macaroni with garlic and some yogurt, nothing else.
Hospitals are always is a target because the airplanes always targeting all hospitals in Aleppo. When we evacuated from Aleppo, there was just one hospital was working. And before the war, it was about 10 hospitals. But he started to target them one by one. You are stuck and you can't go out of this area. And they always bombing us. They always killing us with every weapon that you can imagine in the world. So our last weeks in Aleppo was like a horror movie. And it was in reality, not just a movie. I can dress what I want. I can go where I want. But in the regime areas, in the regime held areas, you can't do what you want. You can't talk what you want at the hospital. So when the regime know that that you were working at that hospital, they will arrest you because it's they'll consider you as a terrorist if you were working there. Good morning, Chairman Resh, Ranking Member Carden, distinguished member of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. It's our duty as a human being to advocate all of the involved parties on the ground to allow humanitarian access and to finally hold those who violate international humanitarian law accountable. Later this month, my family and I will return to Syria to continue our work at a hospital in northern Syria. The reason is simple. It's our duty. I want the world to know what's happened in Syria and what's still happening. Now it's happening in Al-War, in Homs, in Al-Ghouta, in any other places, It not just happened in Aleppo. Now it's happening once again. And for chemical attacks, we talked many times about chemical attacks. And they have to charge the Assad regime with this, but no one is talking. And now he's targeting us with chemical attack once again. I have to be there to do my work and to teach these doctors. It's very important. So we need to go back. And it's my country also. I miss my country.
So, yeah, I think we can all agree that in the case of Syria, literally losing their institution of healthcare, of medicine, is causing some serious problems for individuals and society as a whole. Okay, that's the end of part 1. Make sure you watch the next video, part 2, before you do check-in number 6.